The head coach joins us right now on the Harbor One hotline. Coach, good morning.
Hey, Greg. How you doing? Courtney?
How you doing?
Wiggs, how's it going?
What up?
Hi, good morning.
Short night, but we're up and rolling.
Yeah, I mean, what do you sleep in the office? Like, what do you do on a night like last night when you get back?
Yeah, you get it wherever you can. It's football season, so we have quite a few away trips. So, yep, you get it when you can. You keep rolling.
I know you've been asked this a good 40 or 50 times, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Can we read anything into the fact that Cam Newton started all three of these preseason games, and are you leaning toward Cam as the starter week one? How do you make that decision, Bill?
Yeah, we have a lot of decisions to make, and so we have a time frame that we have to make them on. So we'll work through the process here, like we usually do. So just got back, we'll have to regroup here as a staff and figure out what the best decisions for the team are on a lot of areas, and do the best we can.
I think sometimes when we talk about you, some say, Bill is reluctant to start a rookie. Is that, when it comes to experience, how important is that to you when you make a decision like this or any other position?
Yeah, again, it's, every decision is different. There are a lot of factors that go into each decision. So, again, just try to, take them all into consideration and do the best thing for the team. And that's, there are a lot of different angles to look at, and so just try to do the best we can.
Bill, we talk about this season being different, and I think one of the big things that sticks out for me as a former player is not having that fourth preseason game. And for guys like myself who are undrafted or young players or even some veteran players, using that game to kind of maybe show one more time that, they deserve a spot on the football team. What was the message like for players knowing that you were only going to have 3 preseason games and the opportunity for that fourth one would not be there? What was your kind of message to some of those guys that might have used that game to make a roster spot?
To control what we can control. We don't set the schedule. We don't, control some things, but the things that we do control, which is our preparation and our performance, our effort, those are the things you have to concentrate on. So, some players, as you know, in training camp, some players get banged up. They don't get as many opportunities as somebody else who may not get banged up or doesn't miss time. We each have to take advantage of the opportunities we get and try to make the most of them. So that's really the same for all of us.
Bill, going off what Wiggy just asked about not having that fourth preseason game, I felt like a lot of eyes were on you on how you were going to handle just having 3. I know you haven't made a decision for week 1, but when you look at Mac and Cam, what's the thought process like going into that third preseason on who will get the start, who will get more snaps, and so on and so forth, for any player, really?
Well, not specific to any player or any position, but just in general terms. Players that have played more, you want to give fewer reps to them and more reps to guys that need the experience. If it's a competitive situation, if it's the more defined it is, the more clear cut it is. How the rankings, if you will, are going to go, then, at some point you want to give more time to the players who are going to play. But, in a competitive situation, you want to try to, create equal opportunities. And again, that's a combination of games and practices. Really, it's pretty much the same at every position.
When you look at Mac, I know that you and Nick Saban have a good working relationship. I'm sure you talked to him before taking Mac. What's been the truest thing you've learned since coaching him based off what Saban had told you prior?
Well, I think, Matt's come in here and worked hard. He's put in a lot of hard work every day, and I think that's paid off, and it's showed up in the things he's been able to improve on. So he makes a mistake, and then he learns from it and works hard at it, or works hard in the first place so he doesn't make mistakes that, maybe he gets it right the first time, which is sometimes hard, but at that position. But his work ethic's very good.
Bill, one of the things that I think we all talked about this offseason was, what you were able to do in free agency about bringing in a lot of players. One guy that's kind of really stood out, in the first couple of, weeks of the training camp and preseason has been Matthew Judon. And what his kind of looks like he has pretty good versatility and things that he can do. What has he meant, as well as some of these other players that you brought in through free agency? I know John Smith had a catch a couple weeks ago. What are guys like that meant to not just the team, the defense, but just their leadership and what they bring to the locker room?
Yeah, well, I think Matthew's done a good job for us in terms of, coming in and playing multiple positions and, giving leadership and help to some of the younger players at his position. He's a very smart, instinctive player that you can really see his savvy and just playing experience. When he steps on the field, he just has a really good feel for how to play, and he's a good player. And so when you put all that together, that's a good combination. But at the same time, he's worked in well with the team. We have other good players, other good leaders, and other good communicators on the team as well. And so I think he's done a good job of fitting in that and finding the kind of the right time, the right spot, and how to work with his teammates, and they've done the same with him. So I think we're making progress. Still a long way to go, but we're getting there.
Bill, I think a lot of media members were hoping to talk to Cam after the game yesterday, or since he's been back from his time away. Have you been able to talk to him and kind of give him support on, maybe we don't need to be privy to everything going on in everybody's life?
Courtney, I'm not really sure I understand that. Have I talked to Cam? Yes. And then what?
Just, I feel like media members want to be privy to everything in athletes' life. I don't agree with that. I was wondering if you give your players support when they don't, necessarily want to tell media everything that's going on with them.
Yeah, well, each player's relationship with the media is unique, and we all have that. So that's really a personal thing. But look, we all know that this time of year is stressful for players and coaches in the NFL. There's going to be probably over 1,000 transactions here in the next couple of days that'll come through the league, and that affects a lot of people and a lot of families, and there's a lot of relationships that are intertwined in those decisions and the ramifications of them. So we all have to work through that. It's part of the process. We all knew that when we signed up for it, and I think everybody just has to support. We try to support each other, but at the same time, everybody has to find their own way to handle whatever it is they have to handle, whether that's personally or as part of somebody else. And we have a lot of players who have families and relatives and loved ones that are dealing with a hurricane, and we're a long way away from that. So not that has anything to do with football, but it's an important part of the lives of many people on our team. Probably all people, really. I'm sure everybody knows somebody that's affected, or, like I said, players on our team who have families who are affected, and we're close to them. So, there's a lot of support at this time of year. Just all the way around. Some of it relates to football, some of it doesn't. But I think that's what brings teams and people together to support each other. So I think we have a good level of that, and that's hopefully we'll continue to.
Bill, what can you give us in the form of an update on the Gilmore situation, and is there enough time for him to be ready for week 1?
Well, we'll just keep working through it every day. He's been here, stayed here the last 2 days, and just continued to, work hard on his rehab. We'll check in today and see how that's going, see what kind of progress we're making, and then go from there. I'd say it's really, pretty much like everything, just follow it day by day and see how it goes, and based on the results of yesterday and how things are today and the general plan that we have, then we either follow that plan or modify it a little bit based on the most recent information. So it's really the same for all players that are in that category. Unless guys has like a broken bone or something like that, where it's pretty easy to determine how long it would take for that to heal. When it's some different type of injury than that, but we just have to figure it out and see how it goes.
Bill, you talked about getting with the staff, knowing that this is the kind of final day for being able to make decisions on rosters and putting together the depth of where you want to have each position. With guys being, vaccinated versus unvaccinated, and knowing that the protocols are different for those players, do you guys look at that going into preparing for depth, knowing that, okay, we might lose a guy similar to what happened with Cam Newton this past week. We might lose a guy like that during the regular season. So maybe we got to carry an extra player because these 2 players are unvaccinated. Is that something that you guys have to think about now this season when you're putting together your final roster and making cuts?
Well, I think if you look at what's happened in the league this year to this point, which is obviously still early, but there's quite a bit of information that's come in. I'm not sure the exact number, but there've been a lot of positive COVID cases here, and so I don't think we're just talking about one thing. Unvaccinated players. We're talking about a lot of vaccinated players and coaches. Have come down with the virus, and so that's a problem too. So it's a big it's a big issue, and one that we want to continue to, number one, just try to stay as safe as we can individually and collectively as a team, and try to do everything that we can to avoid that. But there have been a lot more people that are vaccinated that have the virus than are unvaccinated than have problems. So, but they both do. So, I'm not really sure what the answer is here, other than try to be, as I said, as proactive on good health and following all the right personal hygiene and keeping things as clean and safe as possible. We do that anyway, just for other infections and just general good medical protocol. But this isn't just a problem of unvaccinated players. This is, look at Tennessee. That was a big problem, and I'm not sure, but I think most, if not all, those people were vaccinated. So it goes a lot deeper than that.
By making it a competitive disadvantage with the forfeit situation, do you feel like the NFL has put coaches in a difficult position at all when it comes to those who are vaccinated and those who aren't?
Yeah, I don't. It's not really my job. So whatever the rules are, they are. We comply with them. It's not my job to make them. And in situations like this, I don't think there's a lot of information that whoever's making those decisions has that I don't have. Honestly, I have enough to do to just try to coach and help prepare our team. So I'm going to focus on that.
Bill, one of the things that you always talked about is being able to learn through situations of the game and teaching moments in the game. Last night's game, there was a situation where you guys had 12 men in the huddle on the goal line, and then you turn around and 2 plays later you have an interception. Can you talk a little bit about just those teaching moments of going from a kind of a bad situation and then being able to capitalize and turn that kind of bad situation into a positive situation, which you end up with an interception in the end zone for the defense?
Well, I think, there's certainly a lot of good lessons there, but in the end, in that particular one, looking at both sides of that, defensively, if you can force them to run one more play, then that's you're still out there fighting. You still have a chance to stop them, or that has some kind of a positive result of the drive. If you're on the other side of it, even though you're an inch away, you're not there until you're there, and so being able to finish one way or the other, whether you're on offense or defense in that situation, is really what a lot of games in the NFL come down to. And being in a good position is great, and taking advantage and finishing it is still what the outcome really ends up being. So Jawan made a strong tackle, kept him out of the end zone, and then we had a half a distance to the penalty, which was not very significant. And then, but those inches might have, they could have made a difference. Certainly, we don't want to have 12 guys on the field. But in that situation, unfortunately, playing a lot of people and getting into a goal line defense and all that, we didn't have it right. But then, able to make a stop on on the inside running play, and then when the Giants, threw it when Jones rolled out and tried to throw back inside, D'Angelo made a good play. And, but you're right, absolutely. There's a lot of good lessons there, and not just on the situation, but also the technique and like playing with the ball on the 1 inch line or 1 foot line or wherever it was, a lot different than midfield. And so understanding those things on both sides of the situation, hopefully will serve us well at some point in the future. But I think when those things come up, we try to coach both sides of the situation. So whichever side of it we're on, we learn from that. But then we also look at it. What if it was us on the other side? What would we do? What would we not do? How would we want to handle that specific situation? Because ultimately we're hopefully going to be on somebody's inside the 1 yard line too, and then want to make sure that we again learn from something that happened in the game, even though we were on the other side of it.
Your guy Bon Jovi was out there Wednesday. When you beat his Giants, do you send him some kind of a troll text or something like that last night? No, I would never do that. Oh, come on, Bill.
But yeah, John's. I think it's kind of Giants and Patriots with John, and we're always happy to see John and his family and friends that sometimes come up with him, and he's been a great supporter. Supported me in Cleveland, supported me in obviously here, and met him in New York, and he's been a great friend, and he loves football, and we all love his music, so it's a good match.
Is Bounce still your favorite Bon Jovi song?
Yeah, it sure is.
What is second? Never Say Goodbye, or?
Oh yeah, he's got a lot of good ones. Living on a Prayer.
Yeah,
it's got to be up there too. That's a classic.
You give love a bad name.
Yeah.
On a steel horse I ride.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, Bill. Well, thanks. We appreciate you getting up early this morning, and we will.
Oh yeah, we're up and at it, Greg. Don't worry about that. We'll be up and at it.
Saying what we can tell.
I know you guys are early morning people too, so I can't imagine what time you have to get up to get going. So
Yeah.
but always good to talk to you, and catch up next week.
All right, Bill. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks. Yeah.
All
Bye.
right.